John Hines, 39 Chesterfield Road, and current select board member. Several commission members have expressed confidence that there are qualified, competent people who could serve as mayor. And it seems to me that a qualified and competent person as a mayor could also be a very competent town administrator. And I look back to the fact that we had a town administrator search this past summer. And while I did not see all the applications, certainly there were no candidates that were forwarded to the board, the select board, that were residents of South Hadley. And I think, to me, if I was a resident interested in that kind of position, an appointed position, and an appointed position that would pay more than what the proposed mayor position is going to be compensated at, it would be more attractive to apply as town administrator rather than as run for mayor. We didn't get any candidate from South Hadley. So I guess my question to you is, would that not be a concern, that if we didn't have a resident that would be interested in running as a town administrator, that we could get a resident qualified and competent who might be interested to run an election and run for a position that would get paid less than it would be as a town administrator?
Is what happens when you have good management. 3 months before our former town administrator Vinkasey left, she had the opportunity to write 2 grants. One of them for $500,000 for the beach grounds, one of them for $250,000 to offset the cost of building the ledges. It was a very tight time scale she had to work in. She put it together, she succeeded. She brought in $750,000 to this community. That is more than we paid her for the 7 years she was here. So that's another aspect of, what is someone worth that you have to look at. It's just not a question of whether it's 70 or 120,000. What's really important is how much skill and management skill do they bring to the table. And if they don't have that management skill, how much money it's going to cost you to deal with mismanagement, lawsuits, etc. So I think it's a much broader discussion you need to have in terms of remuneration and what the consequences are.
My name is Chris Pyle. I live on Woodbridge Street. I'm Don Morgan's successor at Mount Holyoke College. My field is constitutional law, so I have some interest in how you constitute governance. And what you're proposing here essentially is to get rid of democracy and replace it with an oligopoly. Essentially, 4 people on the legislature instead of a large town meeting reflecting all the diversity of our community. What you are proposing is to strip this town of its chief recruitment method for bringing new talent into the governance of the town. You're taking that away. You're concentrating power. Now, we've seen in the last 8 years what concentrating power in Washington did, but you would concentrate power here in South Hadley. You would give us, instead of a legislature and a separate executive, essentially a corporate board of directors, elected, and you would bring with it all the kinds of money and contributions that come in city councils all over this country, where political machines get established and govern on behalf of maybe a faction. Now, it could be that the factions will replace the government every 2 years. If so, you're stripping us of continuity in government. And continuity in government is very important. In addition, by taking the management of the town and concentrating it primarily in a political official, who I think in all probability is not going to have the skills necessary to manage a town of this complexity, you're stripping us of expertise. And I am still at a loss to understand why you would want to take all those things away from the citizens of this town. And had you produced a document which can analyze the various options, that would be wonderful. Then I could understand your reasoning process and why you could say the town meeting is broke and irreparably broke and you can't fix it. And that a city manager is, or town manager is too expensive, although we've already learned that you can make a lot of money with a very professional manager. Instead, you want to put it on to a kind of political machine basis. I don't know how that's going to bring more people into the governance of the town. I don't understand how, with a lack of effective newspapers and coverage, the public's going to be able to see it any better when 4 of these people get together in the basement and have a chat and decide they want to bring in a big box store, or maybe we'll have a refuse dump here in town, and somebody will sell some property for it. That's the kind of stuff that goes on where power is highly concentrated. Because once power is highly concentrated, there are financial stakes in it for the people who like to contribute to politicians. So I'd love to know why you want to give up all the benefits of our system of checks and balances and democracy that has served this town well, as we've heard this evening, and replace it with a political machine. Please tell me. Or please, better yet, prepare a document and tell the citizens, because they need to know what your thought processes were. Not just your feelings, but how you analyzed it and why you thought the pros and the cons balanced out the way you do. Thank you.
That's exactly what we should.
But the great beauty of a town meeting is that it implicated large members of the community in the decisions that were made. I think that's important. If we're going to have radical decisions, building golf courses or investing in Seabrook or other things, I want the town meeting to have to take responsibility, not a small cabal